Sorry.
You can go ahead.
Oh, okay, sorry. I was just saying that if we could go ahead and start with the interpretation information while we're waiting for a couple other folks to join. Maybe the Spanish interpreter, if you could share the language information.
Buenas noches a todos. Hoy tenemos el servicio de interpretación en español simultáneamente con mi colega Fátima y Marisela. Para tener acceso a la línea de interpretación en español, va a marcar al 347-966-4114. Ingresa el número de conferencia 830-584-243, símbolo numeral. Si desea escuchar audio en español, pero desea permanecer en esta sala con conferencia para ver la reunión usando su computadora, silencie su computadora y el volumen y marque el teléfono a la línea de conferencia en español. Nuevamente, la línea de conferencia en español es 347-966-4114. Ingresa el número de conferencia ID 830-584-243, símbolo numeral. Thank you.
Thank you. Bangla interpretation, could you share your language information, please?
Yeah, I'm doing my announcement in Bangla. শুভ সন্ধ্যা সবাইকে। এই অনুষ্ঠানটি আপনারা যদি বাংলায় শুনতে চান তাহলে অনুগ্রহ করে ডায়াল করুন যে নাম্বারটি, সেটা আমি বলছি, সেটা হচ্ছে 347-966-4114। তারপর আপনারা যে আইডি নাম্বারটি ব্যবহার করবেন সেটা হচ্ছে 301019-572, তারপর হ্যাশট্যাগ চাপুন। আমি আবার বলছি, এই অনুষ্ঠানটি আপনারা যদি বাংলায় শুনতে চান তাহলে আপনারা ডায়াল করুন 347-966-4114। তারপর যে আইডি নাম্বারটি দিবেন সেটা হচ্ছে 301019-572, তারপর হ্যাশট্যাগ চাপুন। ধন্যবাদ সবাইকে। বাংলা অ্যানাউন্সমেন্ট ইজ ডান।
Great, thank you so much. And Mandarin, please.
Hi, 我们今天晚上有普通，如果你需要普通话翻译，请拨打电话4114，请输入会议730-827#键，重复一次。服务请拨打电话347-966-4114，请输入会议730-827#键。请您把电话静音，谢谢。Mandarin completed, thanks.
Okay, thank you. I do want to note, it sounded like your audio might be cutting in and out, so you might just want to check on your side or check with your interpretation partner and make sure it's all sounding okay on the Teams line. All right, thank you all. Thank you, interpreters, for being here. All right, I'll go ahead and call this meeting, the special session of CEC 15 to order at 7:01 p.m. My name is Katina Rogers. I'm president of CEC 15. We are so glad to be here tonight with 3 candidates for the open seats that we have on CEC 15. As I think you all know, but I know it's kind of a confusing process. CEC 15 has 3 open seats right now, but we're only looking to elect 1 seat through this process. A second seat is available to a parent of a student who's in a D75 program, so that process is separate. And a third seat is made by appointment from the borough president. And so for whoever is not seated through this election process, we would definitely encourage you to apply through the BP appointment process too, because we are really excited that you're all interested and would love to make sure both seats get filled. Thank you. Let's see. Kim, are you available on Zoom to do a roll call for us, please?
Sure, but Kara's here.
Oh, Kara's here, sorry. That was me, I unmuted myself. Yeah, sorry, I had the wrong thing in the agenda. Kim, could you do the public comment protocol? And then Kara, could you do the roll call, please? Or vice versa. Kara, I see you're off mute, so if you want to.
I actually was going to ask if you could send me the agenda. I don't have the agenda for this. And Kim, I think, was speaking, but she's on mute.
Here's the agenda.
Thank you.
Yes, I am getting the protocol up. Sorry. Okay. So tonight's meeting is an in-person and virtual meeting, which will include public comments at the end of the meeting. But in this case, it's the end of each interview or the interviews. When you comment, please comment on the topic, respect the privacy of others, and please do not include names of children or staff. Guests who make inappropriate comments will be removed from the meeting. During the public comment period, those attending virtually may raise their hand to comment or indicate in the chat that they would like to speak. Speakers will be called on one at a time and will be allowed 1 minute each for comment. We will hear as many speakers as the time allows. If you have a question outside of this comment period, I don't believe we're taking questions outside of the comment period.
No,
No, we're not.
just public
Okay, so this
questions
is
are
about the standard meeting. So the comments are generally right after the interviews, and um, since this is specifically a special meeting for the interviews.
Thank you. Thanks, Kim. Appreciate it. And Kara, could you do the roll call first?
Of course. Councilmember Angelica Cesario. Councilmember Jonathan Davis.
I am present, but I don't think that I count as present. So I just wanted to say, I think Katina, you were the only person who is technically present,
Okay.
because we are here, but we don't count unless there's quorum in person.
Yeah,
So
let's make note of
which
everybody
doesn't, which
who's here
doesn't,
virtually.
yeah, I think just
Yeah.
counting for it, but in terms of like officialness, if that's a word,
Mhm.
we don't need quorum for tonight, so it doesn't really matter. But I think we can just mark who's here virtually, but it just doesn't count as actually technically being.
Perfect. Yeah,
Perfect,
no
thank
problem.
Yeah, so I am here virtually.
Okay. Councilmember Ken Eby.
Present, virtually.
Councilmember Angelica
And
Jadunandan.
Katina.
Present.
Councilmember Basil Krymendall. Councilmember Katina Rogers.
Present.
Councilmember Kim Wanless.
Present.
Councilmember Shingsa Xu.
Present.
Councilmember Kara Zwirling Moeller, also present virtually. Great.
Thank you. So yeah, as you can probably tell from how we've been going through the protocols, this special session is a little bit different than how our regular meetings operate. Usually CEC meetings are in person. We have to have a quorum of 7 members who are here at the table with us in order to be able to vote or conduct any business. Tonight, we will not be voting. I mentioned this to each of you by email, but the vote will not happen until the next calendar and business meeting, which is next week, March 10th. So number of folks joining us virtually tonight, just so we can get to know you all a little better. I'd like to begin. We have a number of questions that we'll ask each of you. If we could start just by hearing a little bit about you, if you could introduce yourself and say a little bit about why you wanted to run for CEC and what you think you would bring. I have you on the agenda just in the order that I received your application. So Kat, would you mind going first?
Sure. My name is Catherine McKenzie. You can call me Kat. And I'm gonna reread what I wrote before. So I have been very active in my school community through hands-on work with students and lots of volunteer work and families, including supporting social emotional learning, restorative practice, and positive communication in school settings. I've collaborated closely with educators and caregivers to give inclusive, supportive environments where children can thrive. In addition, my lived experience as an immigrant and my ongoing commitment to public education informed my approach to community engagement and advocacy. These experiences have strengthened my ability to listen, build trust, and work collaboratively to support equitable outcomes for all students.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And could you remind us which schools where your children go to school?
My children go to PS 124
124.
since 20, I want to say 2020. So
Okay.
we started fully remote actually.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
It's a
so
rough start.
yeah, it was a rough start, but it definitely felt a little rocky. But it got steady, and now I have trouble taking them out of school and coming home. So they really enjoy being there a lot.
That's great. Thank you. Becca, could you introduce yourself next, please?
Sure. My name is Rebecca Cook-Mack. I have 2 kids in D15 schools. My daughter is in 8th grade at MS 447, and my son is in 6th grade at the Harbor Middle School, and they both went to the Brooklyn New School before that. And I've been an active and engaged public school parent. I went to public school here in the city, so I've got a long-standing commitment to these schools. And why I'm running, I think in part it's this moment we're in, and a feeling that it's important to participate in our democracy, and this feels like a part of our city democracy that I care so much about. My parents are educators, my sister's a teacher, and so we have this mayor who's come in and talks about the importance of parent engagement, and it seemed kind of, when I saw there were openings, like a real moment where I have the ability to do this, I have the time. And I don't know, there's a difference somehow between the elementary school and the middle school participation in the school, and so I have more time to put into not just the school my kids are in, but sort of the district and the city schools, and it's something I'm really committed to. I think I would bring that to this.
Thank you. And Anna, could you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, hi. Good evening, everyone. My name is Anna Maria Aguilar. I have 2 children in District 15 schools. I have a middle schooler in New Voices, and I have an elementary school, PS 295. And I wrote something. My name is Anna Maria Aguilar, and I am an immigrant woman of color, a mother of 2 District 15 students, and a lifelong advocate. I am here today because I believe that the Community Education Council is the most important bridge we have between the New York City public schools and the families it serves. But a bridge is only useful if people know how to find it and feel safe crossing it. My life's work has been about building those bridges. I began my journey as the education coordinator at Mixteca over 20 years ago, where I fell in love with empowering families to navigate their children's education. This wasn't just about giving out information, it was about building agency. I carried that mission into my role as a PTA president, where I used my sociology degree to move away from traditional meetings. I felt parents were tired to be spoken at. So during my meetings as PTA president, I leaned toward a resource-first philosophy, really listening to the parents and knowing what resources they needed. Every school is its own community, and you have to know what their needs are. I'm a trailblazer who is comfortable at every table. I also, after becoming PTA president, I became a parent coordinator at a District 15 Title I school. I'm a trailblazer who is comfortable at every table. In my former school, I became the first union shop steward in over 25 years since the school opened. That role taught me how to protect employee rights and navigate complex labor relations while maintaining the professional partnerships necessary to keep a school running. As a former parent coordinator in District 15 Title I school, I've operated with a no wrong door policy, even helping families from other districts who were denied language access because I believe An advocate's duty doesn't stop at a zip code or a district. We're here to advocate for children and their right to an education. If you want to know what I can do for the CEC, I am the Day of the Dead celebration coordinator at Greenwood Cemetery, an event that previously had 100 attendees. And through my partnerships, I grew it into over 6,000 attendees. I did this by creating an equitable, inclusive environment where local businesses, not-for-profits, and families felt they truly belonged and they felt welcomed. On the CEC, I will bring the same energy to demystify our work. I want to teach our marginalized communities exactly what this council does so that involvement becomes a right, not a privilege. I will fight for expanded language access and deeper support systems for our families. I am not just a parent who knows the ins and outs of District 15. I'm a leader who knows how to turn a quiet room into a movement. I ask to be part of the CEC because as a former parent coordinator, I realized that many families did not know what the CEC did. And I created workshops to really give them that information. And I feel that being part of the CEC, I would want to continue that work. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you all. Gosh. Okay, Jonathan. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So thank you all so much. I'm Jonathan Davis. I'm the Vice President 1 on CEC 15. And so the next question will be the shortest answer. It's a yes/no question. But it's probably maybe one of the most important questions. And that is, so before we go any further, we just want to confirm your commitment. This is a very active council. We meet in person at least once a month, typically for 3 hours. We spend a lot of time researching education issues, we write resolutions, and we work with our liaison schools to advocate for their needs. This is a big time commitment, and we rely on everyone to do their share. Plus, we are unable to vote on any of our actions without a quorum, which requires that 7 or more members attend in person each meeting. So my question for each of the 3 of you is, can you commit to this work? So I figure we can start with Kat, who went first before.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Becca? Okay. Anna?
Yes.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you all.
Thank you. We definitely like to make sure people are coming in with their eyes open because it can be a lot. So thank you. Angelica Jadanandan, do you want to ask the next question, please? And I think why don't we keep responses to about 2 minutes? I'll set a timer. There's only 3 of you, so we have some flexibility with that, but that way we can make sure that everyone's got time for all the questions. All right, sorry, Angelica, go ahead.
Oh, no, you're good. What is your vision for education in this community, and how do you think that you can support the council in working toward that vision? You can start with Kat.
My vision is to make sure that each child has access to the resources that they need so that they can succeed, not just academically, but also social, emotional wise, because I feel like if kid is happy, they will want to learn more and want to be there and not really want to leave. Then I can help bring more of that experience from my 2 kids being in the school and from volunteering in there a lot. And I'm currently also an after-school teacher that really helps to figure out how we can handle and make them feel more comfortable and more engaged, if anything, to want to be there and be happy.
Yeah. Can I ask a follow-up question to that, so you can expand a little more, maybe? What do you see either that has worked well for social and emotional learning and for encouraging that engagement, or where do you see some challenges that you think could be better?
What I've seen that's worked well is when a child is very disengaged and not wanting to be a part of a group, but you lean in, or I would lean in with curiosity and then try to listen to them and not push too hard to bring them in, but let them slowly come around until they feel comfortable and they think they can tell you what's wrong with them, and to give them time basically, because sometimes it takes a while for them to feel more comfortable.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Becca?
Sure. I'm particularly interested in serving on the D15 CEC because D15 has been such a leader citywide in the diversity initiative and in sort of intentionally trying to foster schools that are available and serve the whole population of the district and do it well. And, I believe that it is important to do that by offering also choice, right? So that not all of our schools should be the same. I chose different middle schools for my son than I did for my daughter. They're different kids. They learn differently. And I believe in progressive education. I believe that our teachers are expert in what they do, and we should have education policies that sort of honor that expertise and support them and make sure that they are able to serve the kids in the room that they have that year, and that they're serving all the kids. So I think that we need accountability, but I also think we need our teachers to be trusted. And so I think my vision for education is something that gives respect and power to the schools and to the parents in the schools. And I think that that's hard to do. I think that how would I support the council? I think it's helping to do outreach, listening, being available, asking questions, participating in broader conversations within the citywide community. At BNS, I was very active in the opt-out from state testing work that has a coalition of schools around the city that participated. And I think, I think we are a very large city. We are a large district, and we have a lot of difference, and that's remarkable. And I think we should be able to provide difference for people. And so, one thing that I would certainly be focused on is these corporate provided curriculums, which I think undermine what I think of as teacher expertise. And so that is a question that I would bring to this work.
Thank you. And Anna?
So my vision is to really demystify the work of the CEC for everyone to understand what exactly is that the CEC does. I want to also be able to ensure that all families have access to language, that every district-wide conversation is accessible in the language our families speak. I think it's very important to include families, to include parents in these in a child's education. Unfortunately, if a parent is not involved, studies have shown that the child doesn't thrive in the same way as an involved parent. I also wanted to be, D15 is known for the work of being equitable, and I want to really bring the marginalized voices to the table, not just the voices that are the loudest, but really be there for the families that don't know how to advocate, that are afraid to advocate. Especially now, I think it's important during this political climate to really be there, to really show support for our families, and really represent them on these tables and these discussions when we meet at a CEC and really be there for them.
Thank you. Let's see, Kara, I think you've got the next question, and maybe what we'll do for the next few questions is just shift who speaks first, so that Kat, you're not always in the hot seat. So maybe Becca, you'll take this one first, and then Anna and then Kat.
Perfect. Welcome. The CEC works very collaboratively, and members bring different perspectives and experiences to the table. Can you share an example of a time you worked closely with a group to achieve a shared goal, particularly in a situation where there were differing viewpoints? How did you contribute to the group's effectiveness, and how did you approach perspectives that differed from your own?
Sure. Much of I'm an employment lawyer. I represent low-wage workers, low-income workers in discrimination, wage and hour, what have you, cases against their employers. And I often work collaboratively in groups, teams on cases. And you know, there is often, almost always, there are multiple ways you could approach a problem. There are people come to the attorneys, right? A group of attorneys trying to figure out a strategy, come with different experiences. This worked for them, this didn't work. And we don't, I have found that actually we are much more effective and clearer-eyed in what we are choosing to do when we make space for disagreement in a as we talk about the right way to move forward, or the way we are going to move forward, which may or may not be what everyone wants. And those can be uncomfortable conversations. Sometimes they happen together in a group. Sometimes, I've made sure people speak, because I know from private conversation, and either I say something or I'll try to make space for them. And sometimes I follow up privately and say, I don't think we're on the same page here. Can we talk it through? And I think that makes sort of what makes these collaborations so valuable and time consuming. But I don't see I don't think there's a fast way to that kind of work. And I think that we make more thoughtful and decisions that make more sense, even when they aren't what everyone would have picked, because they never are. Oh, and that's my time.
That's your time.
All right, I'll stop.
Thank you. Anna, how about you?
Oh, well, there's, it's always, I think when you're trying to really make a change, there's those moments of not being comfortable in having those conversations. During the pandemic, as a PTA president, there was a lot of sense of there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of fear, especially with the whole vaccine. Some families wanted the vaccine, some didn't. But I felt that it was very important to always provide and be transparent with information so people can make the best decision for themselves and for their children. That's why I believe that bringing resources, knowing with organizations can help you with the information, and bringing that transparency to the families builds that trust. During that time, when the vaccine wasn't available during that time, I reached out to not-for-profits. A lot of the families where I was president at that time needed access to that, because it was how they were able to provide for their families. So I think as a team, we sought out a way to figure out how can we bring this information, how can we come about, even though we might not agree with the vaccine, that's not what we're here for. We're here to provide the resources so the families can make the best choices for themselves. So regardless whether sometimes we may not agree on something, our job is to really be transparent with the information and to give the best resources that we have. So I think working collaboratively with principals, districts, superintendents is also very important. So we might not all share the same views, but we're here for the commitment that we have to serving our families. Thank you.
Thank you. And how about you?
Working as a part of the PTA for 4 years, I feel like listening to parents' comments and views sometimes during the meetings, and we need to take all of that information and then share it with the administration there. And sometimes listening to everybody's views that we don't really get along, but trying to really, again, be curious about where they're coming from and not step too hard into being like, but is something that can be really hard sometimes. But eventually we feel like we can sit in a circle and just express what we feel and then just try to get through that moment so that we can try to all work together because we all have that same goal to just what's the best interest of our children.
Yeah, thank you. Let's see, Kim, over to you for the next question, and we will have Anna answer first.
Good evening, and thank you all for being here. It's very commendable for you to desire to join us. Sometimes disagreement arise when we do this work, and it's important that we be able to work through them together. Please give an example of a conflict and how you resolved it. So Anna is first.
Thank you, Kim, for that question. I'm going to take a little time to think about it, really observe. Okay, so yeah, so I think when you are a public servant, there's always going to be disagreement. I think it's very important to listen. I think when parents or caretakers come to the CEC and want to escalate issues, it's because they either feel that they've been ignored at their schools, that no one's listening. I think as someone that's here to serve the community, you have to really listen and make sure you always follow up. And I think once, depending on the conflict, I've as a former parent coordinator, there were a lot of situations where families would come in just, upset. I would listen. I didn't know the answers to every question, but I always told them I will get that answer for you, and I would reach out and get them the answer. I would call them, hey, even if I was still waiting, hey, I haven't forgotten. I still am waiting for this response. So it's really being there so it doesn't escalate to where the conflict is not resolvable. I think you can always try to do your best to always listen. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, how about you?
I'm trying to think of one. One conflict that I remember, or disagreement, I should say, would be homework at our school. Many parents and staff had many different opinions and views on how that was to go. And I know emotions tend to run high on some of those moments, but feeling and again, listening closely with curiosity to try to figure out where that comes from, and then try to see where we all can meet on that same level. I know it could take time also, but just continue listening to everybody's point of view. And sometimes it just comes down to how much time everybody has and whose responsibility it really is. And I know that I feel like with restorative practices, like conflict is always an opportunity for growth, even if it does hurt a little bit. And even if you do shed a few tears, everybody kind of feel a little bit better afterwards.
Yeah, thank you. And how did the homework debate end up?
It was mixed right now.
Oh, it's
so
still mixed.
It's
Okay.
still mixed.
Still uncertain.
Yeah, still a little unsure, but for me as a mom, I felt that for my daughter was like, well, this is up to you now. This is your choice to do it. I'm gonna leave it for you. And if your teachers don't say anything, then not. But just know that in the future there will be homework where there will be consequences that'll be different. So
Yeah. Yeah, the parenting conflicts are a whole different level.
oh yeah, yeah.
Thank you. Becca, how about you?
During COVID, I worked on trying to figure out a way for schools to have access to open space, so that, you know, kids could learn outside or have, you know, space outside. And it was a citywide effort, and it was a really, I mean, I talked about how challenging that time was. I'm sure we all remember there were a lot of different needs and schools, you know, in different neighborhoods and different had different goals, and it was a really difficult issue to come together around, in part because we could not come together. We couldn't, you know, do the things that I think make it easier to move through a conflict. We couldn't sit together. We couldn't, you know, have a normal conversation in a normal space, and it was all remote. And I think it was really, again, just what I said before and what everyone has said, listening, right? We listened to each other. We took time. We tried to figure out, you know, what was it that we had in common that we wanted, what would work. You know, didn't have to be a one size fit all solution to get schools a menu of what they might, you know, be able to use to meet their own needs. But you couldn't come up with the menu without hearing from the different schools about what they wanted and needed, right? And so it was a real challenge. And I think one of the things that we did do that really helped move through it was to have an outdoor learning day. We did it on a weekend, and so that people could come together and see something in a outdoors where it felt safe, and it could sort of create an opportunity for an idea to be concrete as opposed to theoretical. And I think that, you know, in the end, I don't know how many schools used their outdoor space, but a lot of them did. And it wasn't, you know, it wasn't just these open streets. It was really a wide variety. And some schools, I think, still may have, I don't even know, but so that was a.
That's great, thank you. Yeah, the point about not being able to use the tools that we would usually use is a really tricky one too, not being able to gather. All right, thank you all. So we have just one more formal question, and then I'll open it up to all of the council members who are on Zoom in case there are other questions that they'd like to ask. And then if there's enough time, we'll have some time for questions from the public. If there is anyone from the public who's joining us on Zoom, and it may just be us and interpretation, but we'll see. So my question is just, what questions do you have for us? I know, I mean, as Anna's been saying, the CEC can be a fairly opaque space. And like I said, we want people to come in with their eyes open. And so what's something that you would like to know from us? Kat, I'll start with you.
I would like to know how your research is done, and how deep it can really be, and how everyone can also communicate during the week, I guess, or during the month, because I know as a PTA member, like, we're always communicating with each other.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot. Does anyone, I don't want to dominate just because I'm here in the room. Does anyone on Zoom want to take that?
Yeah, I
Sure,
can
Jonathan.
start. Yeah. So that's something with our new council we've really been working on. We wanted to make sure that we could have that constant communication. So I think the primary space we're using right now is we created a WhatsApp group chat, and that's been a space that has been really helpful in sharing education-based news and articles with each other, talking about issues that come up, figuring out some logistical things, And so we are aware it is open to open meetings. It could be, requested for people to get this chat because it is all of us who have been elected in an open space, but it is a way for us to informally talk through things, share things with one another. And then I think we also rely a lot on just the community of CECs across the DOE. And so there's the ECC, which is for, I always forget what the acronym stands for.
Educational Council.
Educational Council Consortium.
Yeah.
Educational Council Consortium. And so they're very active, and it's CEC members, current and past, who share ideas and resolutions that they've passed, and they have their own website and database of all the resolutions that have been passed across the CECs. And so we don't always have to, like, in terms of research, we don't have to start from scratch on a lot of these issues. We're able to sort of pull from things that have already been done and add to them and make them sort of fit the needs of D15. And so, those are just some of the ways that we're communicating and using resources meaningfully that already exist across the DOE.
Yeah, I would echo everything that Jonathan said, and I would add on the research side that we try to open up spaces for people to do things according to their strengths and their interests. So some folks are, really like doing a research deep dive. I like doing a research deep dive. So when there's something that someone wants to do and feels like that's where their strengths lie, we try to lean into that, because the other thing is we're all volunteers and everybody's bandwidth fluctuates depending on what's going on with your kids, with work, with family stuff, all of it. So, sometimes we'll really have our heads down, or one person will really have their head down doing something, and other times other folks need to step in to carry the load. So I would say it changes over time also. Thanks for that question. Becca, how about you?
Sure. I was wondering sort of to what extent the agendas are responsive, and to what extent you guys are sort of thinking of something that you want the CEC to focus, bringing things, and how does stuff get onto the agenda from the CEC, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, also a really good question. Does anybody online want to take it, or I will? Kim, were you raising your hand, or yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was actually saying go for it.
Oh, you're got it. Okay. Yeah, it's a mix. So at the start of this year, I did a survey of all of the folks who were going to be on the CEC this year to see what issues people already had in mind that they knew they wanted to move forward. So that at least gave us a little bit of a sense of where people's individual priorities were. Because there's so many things. It could be, it could be infinite, the number of topics that come, and we just don't have infinite bandwidth. So to some extent, coming into this year, we knew that given the federal administration and things that were happening there, that there were going to be lots of things that related to what was happening at the federal level that we would want to push on at the community district level too. At the same time, I think we do need a level of responsiveness, because also in part because of federal reasons, but lots of other reasons as well, the dynamic shifts from week to week. And sometimes there are things that come up that are very pressing and that we do feel that we need to address right away. I would say an example of this is, I don't know if you followed what happened with the CEC in District 3 a few weeks ago, but that was something that nobody expected to happen. It happened. It was important for us to respond. And so that was not something we had planned for in advance. We haven't even had a meeting between when that occurred and now. But we've worked behind the scenes to at least write a statement. We couldn't do anything that we would formally vote on without a public meeting, but we wanted to be sure that we had something that we could bring forward. Sometimes members of the community bring things to us. They might bring us a resolution that they would like us to consider. They might have an initiative that they're working on that they'd like to speak with the community about, and we gauge those as they come. Sometimes we just don't, the meetings get very long, and so sometimes we just decide that we can't hear from everybody, and sometimes we do want to bring it forward. So one example of that would be there's a student transportation advocacy group that has been asking us to bring forward a resolution to expand Omni access for all students. And it took us until last month to bring it forward, but we eventually did. It was something we wanted to prioritize, and we just needed the right time. Jonathan, did you raise your hand?
Yeah, I just wanted to add one thing that, there are also certain things that we're kind of that we are mandated to bring
Oh,
up and
yeah.
talk about. And so, we always have to have a meeting where different offices from across the city have to come speak to us and inform the district and the families. And, a part of that is, one of our responsibilities is to prioritize school construction authority requests from across the district. So we need to make sure that a representative from their office comes in before we have to vote. So we have kind of a calendar of those different organizations that need to come and speak with us about particular issues that are kind of scattered across the calendar over the course of the 12 months.
Thank you.
Thanks. Anna, do you have a question for us?
Actually, my question was about like prioritizing, which you guys have answered. I also wanna, you guys do amazing work. I've been at your meetings, the legislative breakfast, just bringing everyone together and really listening to what the needs are. And I think, like you mentioned, the band, like there's not enough, like there's so much to do in our district, and there's always things coming up. So, I really appreciate all the work that you do. And just my question was about prioritizing. There's so many things going on, but you have answered them. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And it's not, like, just to be totally candid about it, like, we make mistakes too. There are things that we give time to that in retrospect, we think, we really should have been focusing elsewhere, but we learn, we do the best we can. All right, thank you all. I'd like to open it up to our other council members who haven't had a chance to ask a question, just to see if there's anything you'd like to ask the candidates while we have everybody here in the room.
Hi, Katina. Hi, everyone. My name is Ken Eby, council member. Really appreciate the three of you spending time and just having interest in this deep desire to serve in this manner. I wanted to ask a question which you may have touched on earlier, but I want to just ask kind of specifically for each of you. Just watching, listening to the news, understanding federal policy shifts, recent change in mayoral administration and new chancellor, and also being parents. I just wanted to ask each of you if you could speak to, what is your pet issue, or what is the topic, the area that you think you are most passionate about, or your experience really kind of puts you forth as potentially being a leading voice on the council to speak to, and just give us a little bit of context on where you would be coming from.
Thanks, Ken. Becca, we'll start with you.
Sure. I think my pet issue, I love that, is project-based learning right now. My kids went to elementary school where that is sort of fundamental to how it works. My God, spent a lot of time at Forest School and then at Shore School, and chose a school for my son that had exceptional place-based, equity-based, project-based learning, and have seen how some of these curriculum mandates that my daughter's experiencing in her middle school have been rolling out in across the city, and I think that's an issue that I care greatly about. It's I think gets the heart of valuing our educators, and when we are fortunate enough to have sort of expertly crafted, very place-based, sort of thoughtful curriculum, I struggle with this question of these curricula that are generic and from some big corporations. So that is a pet project and an issue that I've sort of, you know, really seen up close and care a lot about. So that's, I think, at the moment and for a long time, right? That's where my kids went, and that's an issue that I will certainly be paying attention to here or, you know, in my schools.
Yeah, thank you. Anna, how about you?
So, you know, being an immigrant, being a product of District 15, and seeing how my parents struggled communicating in schools, not having anyone there that spoke their language. So that's why I'm very big on language access, on immigration. As a parent coordinator, hearing families fearing for their children, not knowing what would happen if they were detained, having to come with workshops so that, you know, and always thinking like when I create a workshop, I always think about the safety of the family. I never put out flyers that can, you know, you never know who's watching and everyone has different beliefs in this, right? So just creating workshops in order for them to feel and knowing what to do in case they were detained. We had a lawyer come in and talk about the written documents that they needed, having a safety folder with their children's information, talking about, you know, the blue cards, making sure everyone in the blue cards are your child. So it's really coming from how to keep our community safe, how to keep our families feeling secure that they can walk their children to school, creating those parents that have the privilege not to be afraid of being detained, and bringing them together to help our neighbors, maybe taking their children to school, you know, just being supportive. And it's come to where we've created signal chats so parents can let us know if there's agents or just looking after families that, you know, there's been cases where dads have been taken away. So we have been taking them food. We have been doing things for them because, you know, we've been hearing a lot, and I've witnessed it myself, that when they detained a person, they have their address, so they continue going to that same building. So it's just a matter of, that's where, you know, this is all a labor of love, and that's where my passion really comes to, really making sure that all kids feel safe and that they have the right to education. Thank you.
Thank you. I really agree with both of you on all of these views too. For me, it's also, I feel like language accessibility for all is really important. And I'm always trying to make sure that parents have access to that at our school. I only have one school that I can really talk about, you know, so that's really my only experience there. And always trying to listen in and trying to see who needs help with language and how can I help with them. And if anybody else I can meet up with them somewhere else for like an appointment or like a doctor appointment, or even like another parent meetup, so that they can have like a translator with them. So that's something that's really important for me. So
Thank you. Great question, Ken. Thank you. Chingsa, did you have anything you wanted to ask? Or Angelica Cesario, I saw you joined, but I know you have just joined us, so no pressure to ask a question if you don't feel ready. And Chingsa, I see that you put your question in the chat, actually. How can bilingual families be better engaged in school and CEC activities? Where did we start last, Becca? So maybe Anna, we'll start with you.
I think it's bilingual families. So through my work as a former parent coordinator and an event planner, I think celebrations, right? Celebrations bring people together. As a parent coordinator, I brought an event called the Unity Celebration, where we brought everyone together in our school. Parents created poster boards of their country, so to get them involved. We had not-for-profit organizations come in and table at the event. I think it's important to engage bilingual families through celebrations that they're part of, like not us planning the event, but bringing them to the table, and saying, hey, even as something of what music do you want to listen to? What kind of food? Like just bringing them to the table and creating a resource first event where they're leaving with something. They're not just, I think sometimes and many times we think we're just tired of hearing what families don't just want to be spoken at, they want to be part of it, and they want to know how to, and once they learn that, I think we can engage them even more, and that's empowerment. Like, hey, we can do this. Like, this is what the CEC can do. Another thing, our families at our school did not know what participatory budgeting was. So I reached out to our elected official, and they did a civics workshop. So it taught them, hey, it doesn't matter whether you're undocumented, you can be part of this. So that engages. So I think celebrations, bringing communities together, and really through those celebrations, always having that listening ear, because that's where, they're having fun and they talk about all these, they feel comfortable, just feeling welcomed. Thank you.
Thank you. I bet that resonates with Chingsa because I know she just organized a Lunar New Year celebration that included a lot of dance and music and art, and it brings people together and opens people up in new ways. Kat, how about you?
Well, I agree with the celebration things. For us, whenever we have events, we try to have events with food and childcare so that parents can also be informed without having to be like, hang on a moment, or hang on with the iPad or something like that. And that's something that we really try to do at our school a lot, and like have childcare aside so that we could just focus on any more questions that they have or concerns that they have. So something big.
Thank you.
I certainly agree with what everyone else has said. I will say it's hard, right? The number of emails that I get, the DOE from the school, it's overwhelming and it's hard to keep up. And, in my family, the email that never gets ignored is the one from the teacher, right? That the outreach from the teacher is the number. They are our absolutely most trusted member of our kids' team. Always. And I think that's a real challenge because teachers are so overextended and so asked to do so many things. But I think that also they are the most trusted voice. They are the ones that parents know, right? Your kid talks about them, even, and hopefully you participate in parent teacher conferences and meet, and so I think that there's a piece of this that's also engaging our most trusted communicators and coming and being, if we want parents to be more engaged in the CEC or the school, there's a work that has to be done to engage with our teachers and make that something that makes sense to them too, because they touch those kids and those parents know them.
It's a really good point. Thank you. Are there any other questions from folks on Zoom Yeah, Angelica, go ahead.
Sorry, it just got like it's been quiet this whole time and now it's loud and I don't know if you could hear it. Okay. Um, when you think about equity in education, whether in terms of student identity and belonging, resources across schools, or how the system is structured, what does equity mean to you?
I think we'll start with you.
All right. To me, equity means bringing everybody to that same viewpoint, however that possible. So if one person is already high up, or they can have a good view of all opportunities, we figure out how to help the other person who does not have that view and opportunities, and how do we help level them up also so that they can also have access to all opportunities without having to be like, well, we're gonna take your stool away because you already can see everything. So I feel like that's something that's really important so that we can all see that access and have that available for everyone.
Thank you.
I think for me, it's similar. It's making sure that people have access to opportunity and know it's there, and that it works, right? That you're not just off, so I worked on this band program at my kids' elementary school, and it started as an after-school program. And it was, everybody could participate. It was donation-based. You didn't have, but it wasn't really accessible to everybody because kids that had to bus home couldn't do it. And there were, and so we ultimately ended up bringing the program to all of the third grade, so that all of our kids could be a part of it. And then the challenge became, how do you keep kids in as they become fourth, fifth graders? And that I think it's hard. I think equity, requires checking in with people and seeing whether it's working. And we tried to do that, and not just asking the people who are showing up, but going after the people that are not, that didn't continue with the program or didn't want to do it, to say, well, what could we do differently? And everybody doesn't have to want to do something, but I think it's making that effort to really be real about providing something.
Thank you. And Anna, how about you?
Yeah, to me, equity is moving past the one size fits all mentality. As I mentioned before, every school is its own community. So we need to be very aware of their needs, of what some schools, Title I schools, need more funding. They have more challenges. So we really need to find together a way of removing those barriers from those schools, so every child has an opportunity to succeed. Because even after school programs, that's been a big topic, where families that work late hours after school, they don't have the finances. So it's really trying to figure out a way to be able to work with all the families and make sure every child has an opportunity for successful education.
Thank you. We are at time, so I do want to make sure that there's no last burning questions from folks on Zoom, or especially from anyone on the language lines. Make sure we've heard from anyone who may be there. Okay.
There's no questions on the Spanish line.
Okay, thank you.
No questions on Bangla line?
Thanks.
No constraints in the minor line.
Okay, thanks. Thank you all. Appreciate it. So I lost my agenda. That wraps up our session from today. This has been wonderful. I really appreciate all of the time and energy that the three of you have taken to be with us tonight and to talk about this. I know like it takes a lot to put yourselves out there for something within the community. So thank you for that. What happens next, as I mentioned, is at our next meeting, which is next week, the 10th, from 6:30 to probably 9:30 p.m. at MS 51 and on Zoom. As one part of the meeting, we will conduct an election for this seat. This happens differently than the standard election that happens every 2 years. So rather than election that's open to the public, this one is only voted on by members of the CEC. So that'll be, there'll be a closed discussion that happens in executive session, and then an election that happens at the open meeting. We would definitely encourage all three of you to join us for that meeting if you're available, both to be there for, for the election itself, but also just because clearly you all care very much about the community, and we would love to have your voices there no matter what. Thank you. I think that's all. Jonathan or others, am I forgetting anything?
No, I think that's everything. And just a reminder that again, we only have one seat for this particular election, but there is the borough president spot as well. So we encourage whoever does not end up getting this one spot, you are all amazing and wonderful. We would really love it if the other two would put their names forward for the BP spot too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just to add, yeah, sorry, working groups.
Oh,
Those
yeah.
who
Oh,
are
yes.
interested can join us for working groups. We're really trying to kick it off. And what working groups are, very briefly, are committee members, community members, parents that want to focus on specific areas to do the research, to get information, outreach. Then we bring it to the CEC meeting for discussion, whether it needs a vote, another action step. But we don't do, as a working group, any actions. We're pretty much like, I think Kat asked, the research body, and then move the initiative or the agenda item to the CEC, so there, if we can take action as a committee. But the working groups doesn't really have a meeting time, so it depends on the people, so don't feel like, oh my gosh, the commitment. It's going to be really focused on what people's availability are. So if you're interested.
And yeah, Angelica asked if this session was recorded, and yes, it was recorded. It will be available for the public to view. If there are members of the public who are listening or watching right now, you're welcome to email us at the CEC email address, which I'll put in the chat. If you have questions about the process, or if you have feedback, we welcome feedback on how you think everything went tonight. So thank you all. I will adjourn the meeting at 8:06 p.m. and we just thank you all so much for your time. I hope everyone gets home safe, and we'll hope to see you next week at MS 51.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you very much to the interpreters for
Great job, everybody.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you again.
Thank
you. Good night. Bye.
Good night.
Interpreters dismissed?
Yes, interpreters are dismissed. Thank you. Shorter than
All right,
usual.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye.